The chants from the Milan fans directed towards owner Cardinale at kickoff today, very simple. Cardinale, you must sell. The chants from the fans once the game was done, Milan won, the players walked up to the Curva Sud applauding the fans. They did not return with an applause. They kept chanting again, Cardinale, you must sell. The interesting part to the entire situation, today itself, AC Milan announced that the owner Cardinale has restructured his loan with Elliott Management, extending the loan term from 2025 to 2028. Does this mean Cardinale is likely to sell the club or hold on to it for a while? We'll break down today's match, the potential impact of Cardinale's restructuring of the loan. In today's 4 takeaways, you guys know how this works: green boxes for good performances, red boxes for bad ones. Now, before I get my 4 takeaways from today's match, I have a question for you. Are you guys going over your holiday budget? Or are you one of those, like me, who's yet to buy a gift for your loved ones? Guys, listen to me. These Raycon earbuds are the perfect gift for this holiday season. These earbuds have leapfrogged all my other headphones, especially when it comes to listening to music at the gym. So before I give you my 4 takeaways from today's game, let me give you 4 reasons why these Raycon earbuds are the perfect gift for your loved ones. Firstly, a 10-minute charge gives you an hour and a half of battery life. In those emergency situations when I'm about to jump on a podcast and I realize my headphones are out of battery, these are an absolute lifesaver. Number 2, if you haven't noticed, I've added a lot more color to the studio this season. These headphones match that energy, not just one bland color. You have a bunch of different options. Number 3, and this is my favorite one, guys, I'm serious. There's a genie in the left earbud. When you rub the left earbud, it gives you 3 different audio qualities. One is pure sound, which is perfect for listening to a podcast. Then there's balanced sound, but the third one, that's my favorite one: bass sound. I'm not joking. That bass sound is perfect for when you're just in the mood to jam to some music, especially for me when I'm at the gym. And reason number 4, 30-day happiness guarantee and free returns. And let's be real, guys. Mostly free return guarantees are offered by those brands that have real confidence in their product. So for this holiday season, gift your loved ones these Raycon everyday earbuds. You can click my link below to get exclusive discounts on the best-selling Raycon products. And to redeem those discounts, go to buyraycon.com/kush. And keep in mind, guys, whenever you support a sponsor, you automatically support the channel. And the first takeaway from today's match, this one's going to be a quick and easy one. This one goes out to the goal scorer in Reijnders. This is not at all something that we expected from him last season. This kind of finishing, that goal against Real Madrid, that goal against Empoli, today's strike against Verona. These are some sublime goals that this guy has scored in a period of what, maybe a month and a half? Guys, the biggest complaint from Reijnders last season was his inability to finish. We saw everything else flowing with him, but he just couldn't finish his chances. The fact that he's added that to his repertoire is turning him into one of the best attacking midfield players that Milan has seen in a while. And that strike, no matter what anybody says, that was so Kakaes from that angle. Milan's probably have had 2 stars recently. It has to be Rafael Leao and Christian Pulisic. And this season, over the last couple months, with Reijnders' performances in the big games that actually truly matter in the Champions League against Real Madrid, he's very fast making a case for being one of the players who also is established himself arguably as a star player at this point in time and has the capacity to become a superstar player in the future. And this is exactly what the team needed with the injury to Pulisic in the past and the fact that Leao got injured in the first half. For a lot of us, in our minds, the only player that could actually unlock the game from an attacking standpoint, you were looking at Reijnders outright. None of us thought that, hey, maybe Tammy Abraham will unlock this game. Some were hoping that, hey, maybe Chukwueze steps up now that Leao is off. But you always felt like maybe Reijnders can pull something off. Maybe from that position when he's playing that much more advanced and Terracciano's playing back, maybe he'll be able to get something done. And he pulled it off with a beautiful strike. Fofana. Oh, Fofana, what a ball. Reijnders, what a ball from Fofana. Oh, what a beauty. And this stretch of form that he's been in, it has, garnered him the Serie A Player of the Month. And to back it up with picking up the Man of the Match award, it's pretty special for him. The only question I guess I have is the trophy for the Player of the Match. It looks like a nice trophy, but what is that for Player of the Month? Who made that? A 10-year-old? And the second takeaway from today's match, unfortunately, this one's going to have to be a red box. And for me, this one goes out to Samuel Chukwueze. And basically what I said a little while earlier, there was an expectation once Rafael Leao got injured that, hey, we need one of our other attacking players, other forward players to really step it up. And you would have hoped that maybe it would be Samuel Chukwueze. The fact is that if Chukwueze wants to make that case for himself, for a long time, even he in interviews was mentioning that the way that Pulisic is playing, I can't expect the coach to drop him and put me in, but I'm always going to be ready when I'm given an opportunity. A lot of the times when he came on as a substitute, he would create a little bit of, disturbance for the opposition. But now he's getting a full stretch of run. He's going to be consistently starting until Pulisic gets back. Hopefully, Pulisic gets back soon because Chukwueze's performances just haven't been fully up to par. Now, in fairness, I would want to say that he has been really effective helping Milan out from a balance perspective. He's been a good player, a stable player when it comes to helping out back in defense, playing that additional right wing back role sort of when Emerson tucks in and there's either Pulisic or Musa, but in this case Chukwueze falling back. He has been pretty good with that, but still, man, you're an attacking player. You've been brought on as an attacking player. We need attacking output when the team is down 2-star players in attack. A few too many times now, I think we've seen Samuel Chukwueze cross the ball into the box and he usually just goes out for a goal kick. It misses everybody and it consistently goes out of touch. That's not good enough. 27.5 minutes, a back pass that was way more of an egregious, bad pass made. He tried to make a back pass. A Verona player picked up the ball, drove it towards Milan's box and forced actually one of the better saves from Mike Maignan in the first half. And that all started from a poor pass by Chukwueze. I did make a note here at 41 minutes and 20 seconds. There was a good interception on a Verona counterattack after a Milan corner kick, but that's all that I got here basically from Chukwueze in my notes. It's all defensive work, but when you're missing Leao and Pulisic and you have somebody of the quality of Chukwueze, you need that attacking output today, especially when you're playing a 17th place side like Verona. Just wasn't good enough and he has to be put in the red box. And the first shout out from today's match, this one's actually going to go out to Filippo Terracciano. For me, it's just about sometimes, you can't always expect some players that have barely been getting playtime. He was not used at all last season by Stefano Pioli. He's gotten a little bit more playtime this season, but it's not always easy for them to slot into a new role and actually do a decent job. For me, I don't think it was an amazing job, but I think he did a decent job. He was playing against his former side. He got into a bunch of tussles with his, former teammate that apparently he didn't really get along with very well in Suslav. And I kind of respected Terracciano because, he wasn't cowering down and getting scared. He was actually imposing himself on the game. He was ready to fight with his former teammates. Even the fact that he slotted into that double pivot alongside, Yusuf Fofana and allowed Reijnders to play further up, and it resulted in that particular goal that Milan scored, that connection between Fofana and Reijnders. You have to credit Filippo Terracciano for doing a decent enough job that it gave Milan some solidity on that left side of the midfield, and how his versatility allowed him to even drop back as a left back at times. And I think at times a lot of fans can not have a lot of respect or understanding of the importance of role players. He is one of those role players. He's not just a role player, he's a utility player, a versatile player that you can slot in different positions. That's a lot of times an asset, especially when you're going through a stretch of injuries where Musa's out, Ruben Loftus-Cheek is out. He slotted in that role and did a fairly good job in my opinion. And keeping that, versatility angle in mind, the next shout out has to go out to Alex Jimenez. Absolute epitome of versatility. In the same match, he starts off as a left back, and in the same game, after Leao gets injured, he gets pushed as a left winger, and he does a fairly good job in both of those roles. And the fact of the matter is, I think this might be his second start for the entirety of the season. He's 19 years old, didn't really play all that much last season either, but to slot in this comfortably tells you might have a really good quality player on your hands. 28th minute, great drive, solo drive from Jimenez, forces a corner out of the goalkeeper, forces him into a save that results in a corner kick for Milan. Around 48 minutes, a beautiful cross from Jimenez goes out, to Samuel Chukwueze. I think it was Lazovic who got in the way of that. It was a phenomenal interception from their defender, but that was a dime of a cross from Jimenez. Considering that he's 19 years old and he's playing such good football, he's making a strong case for the fact. Now, I don't know how Fonseca's, pride is going to allow him to drop a player that apparently, I don't know if this is confirmed, but there are some reports that it was Fonseca who wanted Emerson Royal. If that's the truth, I don't know if Fonseca is going to be comfortable dropping Emerson Royal and playing Jimenez on the right flank, but a lot of Milan fans, including myself, I think playing Jimenez instead of Theo Hernandez is thinking the same thing along the lines that Okafor is going to be a better player than Leao. I just don't think that's possible. Theo has to be playing his best football, and for the coach to give him that belief and, punish him the way that he has, but still allowing him to get back into the team, and pushing Jimenez on the right flank. I think Milan would have a significant more balance to their squad. And you guys let me know in the comment section, Emerson Royal, Davide Calabria, or Alex Jimenez, who should be Milan's right back moving forward. And the third takeaway from today's match, this one's also going to be a green box, and this one goes out to guy who made the assist for Reijnders and Yusuf Fofana. Now, I think some of you guys might be a little bit sick of me using this word. I kind of am, but I'm still going to use it. That Rafael Leao, Yusuf Fofana tandem that I've talked about in the past. It turns out it's not about Rafael Leao and Yusuf Fofana. It's just about the player that is probably playing in that particular position, because Fofana loves to thread the ball that way. If I remember right, I was reading this is his 5th assist for the season, and it's been 5 really good quality assists. Over the top for Leao, having that vision, threading the ball through a few players, a mixture of Pirlo and Kaká-esque balls dished out by Fofana. The aerial balls like Pirlo, and the through balls threaded through like Kaká. And the wildest part is that this guy is supposed to be a slightly more defensive-minded player, not actually a creative-minded player, but that addition, just like we've talked about with Reijnders, the addition of finishing to Reijnders' attacks makes him a more complete player for that role, and having the ability to create these attacking opportunities for his teammates makes Fofana that complete kind of player. He looked so comfortable today. He was, my goodness, was this guy foul. The amount of times that, Verona players stomped on the top of his foot, and I don't think the referee gave out a yellow card at any point in time. He's strong on the ball. He's able to hold on to possession. He is sort of what, well, Loftus-Cheek was never supposed to be this defensive. Fofana is a more complete version of that. He has the defensive solidity, and he has the ability to, make those passes from the midfield. The limitation with Loftus-Cheek is that, well, there are a lot of limitations this season, but I'm talking about from last season, was that he needs to be a carrier of the ball. He can't just sit back, help out with defense, and make those aerial passes or those through balls. He actually has to drive the ball forward with him, leaving a hole in that particular position. But Fofana can actually help you out defensively while sitting back and can pass the ball around. That's exactly what you need from a central defensive midfielder. Even the next takeaway from today's game is going to be a green box. A lot of people are mad about the way that Milan has been playing, but at the end of the day, it was a 3-point outcome. It was an away win with a clean sheet. So I'm gonna have to give out more green boxes today than red. And this one goes out to Milan's defensive line. The defensive pairing, as even the commentator mentioned at one point in time, there was nobody who thought that this point in time in the season, it would be Matteo Gabbia and Malik Thiaw, who would be the starter, bona fide starting good quality center backs for this team. The amount of interceptions that Matteo Gabbia made, he did make that one mistake where he passed the ball out. Probably should have gone out for a corner kick, but he passed it right back to Verona player. It was a dangerous attack that they could have created. But Malik Thiaw, way less, vulnerable in the recent past. Looks much more solid. He even drove the ball forward a few times, created some, tried at least. I don't think anything actually came out of those drives forward, but it shows his confidence, in his ball carrying ability. And I think the one thing that has to be pointed out with Milan's backline, I think some credit even to Emerson Royal. I think he was, definitely not as good as the other guys. But at one point in time, 63 minutes and 48 seconds, if you have an ability to watch the game again, just go back to 63 minutes and 40-ish seconds and see the way that Emerson Royal had committed all the way to the front in attack. Verona broke through and they were running back on the transition towards Milan's box. The way that Emerson Royal at 63 minutes, you've been playing for over an hour at that point in time. The way that he ran back to help cover on the right back side, I noticed that and I was impressed with that. And if you guys get a chance to watch it, go take a look at that. For all the trials and tribulations that this team has had, Milan has the 5th best defense in Serie A. After 16 games, Milan has conceded 16 goals. It seems like Paulo Fonseca has been able to figure out which 2 players are his best center back duo. But the one thing to point out about this statistic that has been thrown around, that it's Milan's defense is 5th best in Serie A. Last season at the same point of time, 16 games in, Milan's defense was the 6th best in Serie A. And this season they've conceded 16 goals. Last season they had conceded 18 goals at the same point of time. So it's not as big a difference, but I do think the coming weeks, and obviously the coming months naturally, are going to dictate in which direction this defense is actually going to progress in. Because last season, things started to sort of, fall apart in the second half of the season. Now, in terms of the general sense of the game, I think there are a lot of Milan fans that are upset with the way that team has played. And I think that is a fair criticism for the team. But I do have to say this. At this point in time, with everything that is happening around the club, all the protests coming about from the fans, the results, I think Milan's confidence right now is at probably an all-time low for the season. They're missing important players, specifically like Christian Pulisic. They have a hole in their midfield that's forced them to play a player like Terracciano in the double pivot. There are issues that are happening around Thiaw Hernandez that has forced Jimenez to get the starts and Thiaw Hernandez to be relegated to the bench. There are constant injury issues for this team in the recent past, especially in the month of December. And in the first half of today's game, playing away from home, Rafael Leao also picks up an injury. That can really mess with the psyche of a team. But the fact that this team managed to pull off a clean sheet win, especially the kind of goal that they scored and the way that they were forced to defend after that goal was scored, I feel like I'm okay with how today's match went. I'm not thrilled. I'm not extremely happy, but I'm okay with it. And I think sometimes you just have to pick up the 3 points once again to slowly start building your team's confidence back up. I think it's just one of those days where I have to accept it, move on, and demand better from the next match, but not overly criticize the squad for today. And then I think that the main point of discussion has been around, Jedi Cardinale sort of renegotiating the terms of his loan, that the vendor take-back loan that he had with Elliott Management. Some people were asking, what is a vendor take-back loan? Weren't Elliott Management the previous owners of Milan? Elliott Management were the owners of Milan, and vendor take-back loan is basically where you finance and give out a loan to the new buyer to make the purchase from yourself. So Elliott sold the club to Jedi Cardinale and gave him a loan to actually buy that club. I don't actually want to go into the specifics of the term because we actually don't know the specifics of the term, but the loan amount apparently was somewhere around 650 million euros and it was supposed to be due, from what I understand, in 8 months, in the month of August. The purchase of Milan he made in 2022, so I guess the initial term of that loan was for 3 years. Now, 8 months before the completion of the term of that loan, he renegotiated the terms. He extended it all the way out to 2028, so he bought himself more time. And in lieu of that, in order to, I guess, make it lucrative enough for Elliott, he made an additional payment of 170 million euros. So that means his loan amount now drops somewhere around 480 million euros, and he has up till 2028 to be able to pay it back in full. If you remember what happened with Inter, the Sunning Group's loan was due to Oak Tree. They couldn't renegotiate a new term. Oak Tree wanted, that payment, or they were going to take over the club, and that's kind of what ended up happening. In Milan's case, the ownership group didn't even wait for 8 months later. They renegotiated the terms right away, and now they have more time to pay it off. Now, what does this mean really is the question that a lot of people have been asking. I don't really think it means much. Now, some people have been saying, well, if he can't make that, loan payment in full, does that mean that he doesn't have the money and maybe he should consider selling the club? Well, no, that's not what it means. He simply restructured his loan and, was able to hold on to more of his capital. And to sort of make an assertion to try and deduce that this means that he wants to sell the club or he doesn't want to sell the club, I don't really think you can draw either type of a conclusion from what has happened today. What you likely can say is that Jedi Cardinale doesn't want to sell the club, and he actually wants to be here for a while. Because some people have been saying that, I've also heard this term about him flipping. Guys, if you have a purchase that you make in 2022 and you're likely to hold on to it till 2028, it's not really a flip. It's just more of an investment. A flip is, purchasing something, fixing it up, improving it, that particular asset, and then selling it in a short period of time. And I think the key in that is the timing. It has to be a low price purchase, a period of improvements, allowing the value of that asset to improve, and then selling it quickly. That's a flip. I don't really see a flip happening here. And the main reason that I don't see a flip happening here is because the value of AC Milan just hasn't really improved that dramatically for Redbird to maybe even consider a sale. They purchased the club for around 1.2 billion. However they financed it is irrelevant. They purchased it for reportedly around 1.2 billion. If the value of the club is only really improved to 1.4 billion and they don't even think it's hit its maximum level of appreciation that they foresee for the near future, they're not going to consider selling the club. They're only really going to sell the club if there was a dramatic shift in the value of Milan. If it went from going worth 1.2 billion at the purchase time and suddenly jumped up to 2 billion or 2.4 billion, let's just say, now they have a potential of making almost 800 million or a billion on that particular asset that they purchased. And I think because of that slow appreciation and value of AC Milan, I don't really see a sale happening in the near future. I just don't think they'll make enough of a profit to consider a sale. They've put in so much work into the whole thing. They're not gonna just sell it for 100 million or 200 million more. Look at the sale from the standpoint of Elliott. They took the club over, if some of the numbers are to be believed. They purchased the club, or were able to acquire the club for around 400 million euros. And they sold it 4 years later for 1.2 billion. That's tripling your initial investment. Now, obviously, we don't really know what their goals are. Maybe they don't want to sell the club at all. Even if it hits that 2 billion, they believe it can go up to 3 or 4 billion, like some clubs in the Premier League. And that's when they're going to consider selling it. Maybe they'll sell it when it becomes worth 1.8 billion. I don't know that, but these are just sort of my assumptions. So in my opinion, the restructuring of the loan from Jedi Cardinale, it likely has no impact on the near or maybe even a further far out future of AC Milan. And there's a very good chance he's going to be here for years to come. So those demands from Curva Sud, as I said in the beginning of the video, Cardinale, you must sell, I don't think that's going to be coming true. But I do think that's also partly pressure from the Curva Sud to get the owner's attention to make some changes in the club. No one's going to be fighting for Cardinale to sell if he invests properly in the club and we start to get good results. And once again, guys, if you haven't already, make sure to follow me on Instagram and on TikTok at Football Kush. A lot of short form vertical video content is going to be coming on the channel on those platforms, on Instagram and on TikTok from January onwards. Make sure once again to click the link in the description to get exclusive discounts on Raycon products. And once again, remember, when you support the sponsor, you support the channel. And as always from my side, Forza Milan, grazie mille, ciao tutti. Since Milan's dropped an anniversary jersey, and I got my hands on it.